Right, the rise of right wing, is that a problem? And if so, what do Muslims do? What do we as a community, what are we able to do?
The far right Muslim community should be more scared and more threatened by established politicians and the establishment, i.e. the government, because it is them who keep on saying that your schools, you are trying to Islamicize the British schools. It's British politicians who have said that niqab is a major issue in British society because it causes division. It is British politicians who have picked up the debate, the Prime Minister picked up the debate on segregation inside universities and saying this is not British at all, this should not be tolerated because we live in a multicultural society. Does that mean you can do these things? A lot of these things, I mean, these are local discussions. I'm not even talking about foreign policy or international discussions. We should be more scared of British politicians because they're in a position of implementation, as Adnan earlier kind of differentiated. British National Party, what you can be scared of? You know, getting your window smashed, you know, physically attacked, abused, and that's it really. This a very selfish behaviour. It's scary too, but the point is we should be more scared of politicians who are waging an ideological attack on Islam. And what we mean by that is they want Islam to change. They want to make a community, a Muslim community who is submissive basically, who is introvert and doesn't want to involve Islam in political life, doesn't want Islam to challenge international affairs, doesn't want Islam to address social problems and say, do you know what, capitalism has got a major problem here. This is the way Islam tackles this, but you guys don't want to know. So we should be more scared of established politicians. What should we do? I think that was what we were going towards, is as a community we need to mobilize ourselves to, number one, understand what's happening around us, and number two, to be able to link Islam with that and mobilize our own community, and also most importantly mobilize the indigenous population, show them what the
have a discussion,
you know, put the straight line against the crooked line and show them what is crooked and what is straight.
The BNP or the EDL would like a situation where you leave their country as they see it. The established mainstream parties do not really care about the colour of your skin as such. What they would want is that you become another clone who give up their values that stem from Islam and accept the values that they want you to carry and espouse. And as long as you do that, you're not really a problem for them. And you will see this if you see a lot of the other foreign communities. They keep saying this to Muslims. Well, everybody else is assimilated. You haven't. Or integrated, whichever word they feel like using on the day. And that will always be a problem for them because Islam will always run counter to these societal ills. And to conclude again on speaking about the need for unity amongst Muslims even within this country, the root of the problem that we are discussing today is the ideas of tribal or nationalistic thought in the first place. So that is what leads, or that is what plants the seed for these thoughts or these sentiments and these values to arise later. So as Muslims, that is the first thing you should make sure you defend against, that you do not become tribalistic, that we somehow belong to a certain sect or a group or a caste or a country. None of those things matter. You are one ummah, whether you're here in a locality within Blackburn or in this country on a global scale. Make sure that you are united when it comes to tackling Muslim issues. The BNP don't really present that much of a grave threat, and there are fears with, like you say, closet racism and all of the hysteria that's whipped up by the media over immigration and stuff. Why is it that a lot of this is not challenged, is actually given legitimacy by mainstream parties? I don't know what party you belong to be honest. But why is that not challenged by yourselves, and why is it that those who do present a real threat, i.e. those who do sit in both the Parliament in London and in Brussels, both of those they do not challenge the narratives, especially as Muslims? What concerns me is against Islam. So actually the real threat is maybe whoever is elected, those narratives will continue to go around. The BNP didn't achieve anything by getting a seat last time, so why are they why are they even a relevant entity? Why are they even a relevant consideration? Why are we discussing them?
So even with these debates that are taking place on national television
Yes.
between the UKIP party
Yes,
and Lib Dems,
yes, it did.
I mean, it's on a false pretext already.
It's a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, this is a case of picking up a couple of issues that they have with the elite, and that's it. That's all the discussion that it surrounds around amongst the political class or the
But
working
hold on
class.
a minute, but we do have Muslims in the political arena. Why isn't that conversation taking place?
Firstly, to add on to Majid's point, 8%, a whole 8%, less than a 12th of people in this country care about Europe as one of their top 3 issues when it comes to elections. So you have a debate on TV where you dedicate a whole hour, hour and a half to a subject that's not even that important. But so truthfully, it's just part of the elite structure of discussion that you want to have.
What do we do? So the politicians are failing, the leadership is failing, the religious scholarship is failing. What do we? We're the people on ground that are faced with the rise of right wing, aren't we? Because we're the ones who have to deal with them. How do we deal with? What do we do?
Yeah, simple to be honest. I think most of the discussion that we've had today is a demonstration of what the Muslim community should be doing. So here we are, 3 individuals, yourself as the anchor, discussing a topic that we need to mobilize the Muslim community on. That's the first thing. So we need to give the Muslim community a correct narrative of what's happening. So we don't want them to start saying, okay, let's join politics. As Adnan has said, that doesn't really work. We as a Muslim community outside of politics are more powerful as an institution than we are within the political framework.
I'm going to stop you.
Julie, as an individual, I'm sure all of those nice sentiments and sincerity are very true and honest from yourself. But see, this is the problem. When we're discussing the BNP, we're not talking about Nick Griffin, we're talking about a party. Is it not your party that's responsible for a lot of these things? Is it not a bit disingenuous to try and blame the media when actually the media did not send us to a war in Iraq despite over 1 million people protesting in London? It was your party. The media did not bring in the terrorism bill. That was your party. The media did not sign the extradition treaty with America. That was your party. A lot of these things are not answerable as an individual. It's the effect that this party politics actually has on societies, and Labour has a disgustingly dark record over the past 10 or 15 years, especially like I say, concerning them as a Muslim. What they've done, it cannot be defensible, and you may say that all of those things were wrong, but then if you do, because that's what I get from a lot of my friends who are Labour supporters or Labour councillors, what they say is, yeah, all of that stuff was wrong. But if you do say that it was wrong, then why should Labour be given any more credit or any more credence than BNP, who've actually literally done nothing except for say empty words, whereas you've instituted legislation in this country that's used to the detriment of Muslims on a daily basis. Mozambique's currently in prison because you brought in detention orders that allows people to be held without trial for days upon end.
Nan's already mentioned a few examples. I mean, the MPs, they remain silent on key issues. On key issues to do with foreign policy and the Muslim world, key issues to do with the way policies are devised in this country and how they target the Muslim community, they're silent on those as well. So whether it's niqab, whether it's Muslim schools, and you probably heard about the recent Trojan horse.
Birmingham,
yeah. In fact, you're finding Muslim MPs talking in line with the government plans for what they want to implement in these schools. So they don't really do a service. I mean, it's not a case of like just to have a selected person on the political arena because this is my boy from my community. I mean, the person's not even doing anything. So it's more to do with them and their political careers. And even if they genuinely went there, they weren't doing anything anyway. They had no clout. They found that they were out of their depth because the establishment already has certain set agendas, set ways of doing things, and they were never going to change that, full stop. So what we're doing now, Ummah Channel has more power as a platform than any of these politicians put together, because we speak our voice, we're independent, we can, you get guests on here who are able then to express their views in a very clear and honest way. We don't beat about the bush, we don't have to be scared of like, if we're going to say this and this is going to happen. We'll say whatever we want to say as a community. So it's platforms like these which have more power. So this is an example. Outside in our communities, it's the Muslim voice which needs to be mobilized. So don't remain silent on certain issues. In order for us to mobilize them, we need to be active ourselves with our communities at a local level. Whenever there's issues, for example, this issue about extremism, the recent case which has come out, I think Mobilizing is one of them,
yes,
in the last few weeks, and how they try to mobilize the British public against the Muslim community, saying, look, there's elements inside there who are supporting foreign causes, and those foreign causes are going to have a repercussion back on British soil. That's one case. The latest case, which is the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yes,
not only have they banned it inside the Muslim, inside Egypt,
but
not only are they going to put the 525 people on death row, but also now they're discussing inside this country what links, because many people have come from exile from Egypt into this country, and now they've been prompted. David Cameron's already mentioned that, look, we're going to look into this in a bit more detail about how these people have extremist links and what they can do from British soil. So look at this now, look how this narrative is building up. Who's going to challenge it? Politicians? Or is it going to be ourselves as activists in the Muslim community? Whether we blog, whether we tweet, whether we're on Facebook, whether we organize events, it's people now. We need to really not remain silent now, and especially on this Mozambique issue,
yes.
Nobody should remain silent.
No, well
when
said.
it comes to issues like these, where they talk about our schools and somehow we're going to take over British schools with a Muslim agenda, you know, which idiot came up with that plan? Who's going to do that?
It was an idiot.
It was an idiot.
I can assure you.
There is a dimension to that discussion which, you know, it worries me sometimes because it becomes slightly sloganistic because you keep repeating it. But there has to be an international, a global Muslim dimension to all of these troubles and problems. Because when you're speaking about the rise of the far right, like you say, it goes beyond Europe, goes to America. You can, you know, look in Asia and you'll find examples of the same. You've got to have the strength as an ummah that people, where, you know, justice in itself prevails. Obviously that would be a perfect situation, but where people try and step over the boundary of that and try and breach the rights of Muslims, they have to do a double check and think, what will be the consequences of this when there are 1.5 billion Muslims who are united and have a political power which may actually turn on us if we do this. That will be the day when you actually have true strength. In the interim, entering the political arena is the best way to actually nullify the Muslim response, to make sure that it is ineffective, and to give this false sense of, yeah, we're doing something about it. It's the best way to kill the Muslim zeal against this. Politics is a definite no-no, but we need to, you know, think both what we need to do, like the brother's saying, you know, speak out about it, raise awareness.
So what you boys are saying to me, that we are much more powerful whilst we're outside of a system because we can impact. But Majid, people on the street, it's not priority, is it? It's not a priority for them to be thinking about what's going to happen next May. That's when elections are happening, and I think European elections are going to be happening in May. It's not our priority. We're not politically literate. So are we saying there's only a segment of our society that can do that? What about the masses? What do the masses do?
The masses need to get involved.
How?
Okay. Number one, our creed pushes us to interact with society. The Prophet ﷺ interacted with society. He engaged with people. He engaged with the intellectuals. He engaged with the ordinary man. He engaged with men, with women. So as a community, we're not exempt. So our creed pushes us to do something. Islam pushes us to do certain things. You can't be a lazy Muslim, full stop. And I think in this era that we're living in now, it's become a lot more clearer. You cannot sit on the fence because it's going to hurt sometimes, sometime or another. You've got to now make a decision. Okay, am I going to present myself and identify myself as a Muslim and continue a path in this society presenting Islam as a rightful identity and how we deal with issues in day-to-day life? Okay, and when it comes to the challenges that we face, whether it is when they say that Islam is about extremism, when they say that Islam causes lots of deep-rooted societal issues to do with, you know, segregation of males and females, we're going to challenge all these. And we as a community here, we're not in the 1960s and the 1970s when people came to this country, our fathers came, our mothers came, grandparents came to earn a living. We're now the second, third and the fourth generation. We've lived, we've been educated, we've studied, we've interacted with people. We're now in a perfect position now to engage in activities, to engage in a discourse. So we're going to have to study Islam, we're going to have to study political events, and we're going to have to intertwine both together and mobilize them based upon this political thought.